So here it is, the point of impact as it reaches the mouth of the Mississippi River, and the wind swirling around it also pushed that mound of water, the storm surge, up to 4 meters at the worst.
Chad, what, 150 mile an hour winds, just 6 more miles per hour. This would be a Category 5 storm.
Right, and you really can't separate 150 from 160 or 157, except that there is obviously more extensive damage the higher the number goes. It's logarithmic. Talking about a 75 mile per hour storm compared to what we have here, which 150 mile per hour storm, that seems like it's 2 times greater. No, actually, it's 256 times more powerful when it comes to doing damage.
So our men and women go into the center of this storm. They go through this 20-mile wide eye. They punch through it. They go through different sections. They drop weather instruments to tell us what the pressure is. Here's some imagery from them inside the eye of the storm. And this is called the stadium effect. So we call it that because this is almost like being on the field of a football stadium and kind of looking up at the stands all around you. But instead of fans in the stands, it is thunderstorms in the eye wrapping all around you. So they go through violent turbulence, punch through the storm, and all of a sudden they come out and they can see blue skies above them. They can look down. They can see the seafloor in some cases if it's clear enough. But our brave men and women have been doing this nonstop for the last 3 days for us. We appreciate all the information. Most of the information, how we know how strong the storm is because of them.
Hurricane Ida made landfall near Grand Isle, Louisiana, just west of there on Sunday. It was a Category 4 storm with 150 mile per hour winds. Now, the storm surge flooding in Grand Isle, it started hours before the actual landfall happened. Security cameras here, they show water rising really fast until the cameras eventually cut out. Now, there were mandatory evacuations that were issued for Grand Isle, but there were reports of a few dozen people that were staying on the island to ride out the storm. And so far what we know is that according to the Grand Isle police chief, 15 people who stayed were sheltering in a police bunker with the officers.
All right, big wind, big water coming in. I see water. This is what I'm watching. I'm watching the water obviously being blown around the corner, but also going down the drain. Wow, okay, that's a first.
Now, we just got the 11 a.m. update. It's a 150 mile per hour hurricane, still a Category 4, gust to 185, and it looks like it's holding steady. And there you are, 933 millibars. It's hitting 25 miles southwest of Grand Isle. And I just took a measurement here. It's about 13 to 13 miles just towards the southeast of FOURCHON.
We've had gusts up to almost 90 miles an hour, sustained over 60. And the second I step out, you're going to see, I'm trying to get back, but I just want to show you the power of this wind right now. We're very close to the Mississippi River.
We have almost what is 2 eye walls. There is an inner and an outer. And this is more common amongst major Category 4 and 5 hurricanes, but kind of by definition, major hurricanes as a Cat 4 and 5 are very rare.
All of New Orleans without power and this damage everywhere. This is a building that collapsed, and you can see behind us those eerie clouds coming over the dark city. Hurricane Ida makes 3 major hurricanes within a year to hit the state of Louisiana. Ida ties as the strongest by wind speed to hit the state of Louisiana, and it is going to be a long day ahead here. Flash flood warnings that could hit life and property all the way up through Mississippi, and then flash flood watches, because we're not going to get rid of what's left of Ida, even through the Ohio River Valley, and even New Jersey and New York could see up to a half foot of rain.
Hurricane Ida leaving behind a trail of destruction in Louisiana as the storm barrels up north from the Gulf Coast. A camera in Port Fourchon, Louisiana, capturing the wind rip beneath this dock. In Baton Rouge, transformers exploding from a distance.
Oh, something's blew up.
Trees collapsing, telephone poles leaning over roadways. Ida making landfall at noon Sunday, exactly 16 years to the day after Hurricane Katrina made landfall. Ida already taking 1 life. With relentless wind gusts up to 150 miles per hour, the storm wreaking havoc, leaving more than 1 million customers without power in Louisiana and Mississippi. The eye of the monster storm cutting a swath over central Louisiana. In Houma, Louisiana, this man emerging from his home after the wind ripped off part of his roof. It landed on a neighbor's house. And in Grand Isle, as many as 40 people refusing to follow mandatory evacuation orders.
Life is absolutely miserable for people in many communities across southeast Louisiana, where the death toll from Hurricane Ida continues to rise amid sweltering heat. While most of New Orleans is expected to have electricity by Wednesday, harder hit areas could have to wait a month or more.
Again, it was bad where we were at the Terrebonne Emergency Operations Center, and that's in Gray, Louisiana, just a little bit before Houma. And again, that's an inland area in higher ground inside the levee protection system.
In New York and New Jersey, the total as it stands right now, 14 people who've died, mostly because of flooding. And what we're seeing here is widespread water damage. This is near the King of Prussia Mall, northwest of the city center of Philadelphia. Newark reported 3 inches of rain or more than that in less than an hour.
This is northbound on the Sawmill River Parkway in lower Westchester County in Yonkers, New York. Last night, he got stuck in this. Thankfully, he got home safe.
At least 50 people are now confirmed dead after this week's storm. Take a look at this shocking video from Cranford, New Jersey. The wall, it comes crashing down in a basement. And look at the massive amount of water they're flooding. You see couches floating around, other personal belongings there. A mother and one of her sons were actually trapped inside that basement at the time. The son, so desperate at one point in this, he calls his father to say goodbye, even didn't think he was going to survive it.
That shocking explosion rocking the community of Rahway, New Jersey early this morning. The storm somehow caused a gas leak at a home, which then sparked this dramatic explosion. The good news here, the homeowners got out before the blast.
Oh my God, this poor person's floating.
Look at that tornado!
This was the scene in Carversville last evening at Carversville Road near Fleecidale. Raging floodwaters roaring through streets and homes, terrifying residents. Floodwaters that buckled many streets like Route 263 in Solebury and washed away parts of others like Upper York Road.
Due to the storms from last night, we do have extensive road closures. It's very limited access down to the river.
And with the Delaware River still rising, police were asking a couple hundred residents who live between the Delaware Canal and the river just south of Lumberville all the way down to Washington Crossing to voluntarily evacuate for their safety. As somebody's dock floated away on the raging Delaware River, many people who live along the river were keeping a close eye on things.
Yeah, since 2 this morning, counting steps.
So a little sleep right now.
A little sleep.
Producing dangerous tornadoes and widespread flooding, Ida left a devastating path of destruction in its wake, killing one man in his car in Milford Township. In Buckingham Township, which got hit by a tornado back in July, got hit by another tornado, scaring the daylights out of David McCusker and his wife.
We heard this rumbling a little bit, and we no more than stepped into the basement, and we heard a bunch of crashing and banging.
Huge trees were uprooted or broken like toothpicks, some of them on the roof of his home. He says they're okay, but his barn is a goner.
Gone totally. I only found parts and pieces of it. I don't know where the rest of it is.